Welcome to this tutorial where I'll be guiding you on the necessary things you need to know before you start your paper. Of course, this is a practical paper and it has two sections. You have SAS and you have Excel. Alright, so when you get to the hall, of course, you must have prepared and all of that. When you get to the hall, don't compare what you know with someone else. Alright, you could either just grab what you feel you lack and then you adapt to your own state. Don't compare, because right now it's a battle between you and yourself. All right, so make sure you pray, and when you sit on your computer, make sure you check the date. The date should correspond the actual date we are in, so that by the time you open your software, you'll be working with SAS. Your operating period, you wouldn't need to start changing it and bring in some kind of complications later on. That is if you don't know how to handle that. All right, and speaking of, the paper is made up of two sections. You have SAS and Excel. Start with SAS because first, SAS carries more marks. It's about 70 on 100, and Excel carries just 30 of the marks. So start with SAS. It's lengthy, but you will grab majority of everything. It's possible to have 70 on 70 and you don't even answer Excel, but you're good to go. You get an A, yes, depending on how people pass, or you have a B plus. The next thing, when you handle the paper, read your instructions. This will tell you how to save your work. This will tell you other specific information, and maybe it will tell you not to use certain things or the account numbers to use and all of that. Next thing, you should go to your work required after reading your instructions. This will tell you how bulky the work you have to put in is. All right, and from there you will see those questions that you can easily answer, and you will know your strength. Now, you knowing out of, let's say, 10 questions you can answer 7, it's already boosting your confidence that, all right, this is an A grade in this paper. Next, follow with the transactions. From your transactions, you get to pick out certain information. From here, you know that you have VAT, and you're not going to miss out creating the VAT before going to record in your various journals, and you don't miss out certain vital things. All right, now check for your account length information in the paper. If the paper tells you use an account length of 8, make sure you start this, because once you miss it and you go and you're already creating your charts of accounts and doing journal entries and you realize that it's the wrong length, account length you've been using, you will have to start the process all over in order to correct this. All right, now recording your transactions, I am going to show you a tip on how to gather this information so that it's simple. Transactions that deal with VAT, how to arrange it so that when you're putting in the system, you don't have that much tension and stress. I'm going to do that in the next video, where I'll be showing you recording the elementary things when you open your company. So the video that will follow up immediately after this is you creating your company and the essential things that you need to know. So be sure to check that. It has things you should not do, and it has the explanations on what you should follow. I'm going to show you guys how to create a new company, fill in all the necessary information to get you started. So let's imagine we are starting afresh. I was working on a document, so let's just close that. So you're starting, you want to create a new company, you pick new. First pop-up menu, you have no, you have the company's data. First thing, we have buying and selling. All right, all the other information, you fill it depending on what you're asked to put in there. Next, the operating period. Of course, make sure you've checked your date, that it's correct, so that when the system opens, the operating period matches the day you are in. Down here you have the general accounts. They can ask you to put it to 8 or 6 or anything, so you could just click there and then you edit. If nothing was said about the general account length, you leave it at 0 and you hit on next. Of course, your currency, you specify we're working with SCFA. Next, there is nothing to change here. And copying accounting data, no parameters will be defined manually. Next, browse to save. Now, you could have a folder which you've created before working on this software. You just look for where it's found and then you save. If not, you can as well just create a folder right here, desktop. You right click, get a new folder, and then your name. So let's just say Jimmy, and your identification, whatever it is. Let's imagine this is it. Hit on enter, double click. When it opens up, you write the company's name on file name. So let's say Basa SA. You have save. That is it. It's showing right there, Basa SA.my. And now if you look on the top left, the company name is there and the window is now activated. You can maneuver anything you want to do here. See, you could open all of that. So that is it for creating a company. We're going to look at filling company data and other preliminary things to do when you set up your company in the next video. When it comes to sorting your transactions in a way that it doesn't get you confused when you're doing your work, you can do this on a rough sheet, which is usually the rough paper section of the booklet you're going to be using. Go through your transactions, all right, excluding general expenses like the light bills, the water, the salaries, transport. Excluding this, right, you want to deal with purchase and sales transactions, purchase and sales of goods transactions, right? Because you could have purchase of a delivery van, which is not a transaction related to the main activity of the company. You're dealing here with activities, the primary activities of a company. So what you want to do is you go through your equation, all right? As you're reading through the transactions, you could follow this format, sketch something like this. You don't need to draw the table, you're just following this order of writing. You have the date, you identify that it's a purchase. Now, of course, you're buying from a supplier, you have the supplier's name, and then in brackets you put the supplier account number that you're going to use. Because of course, when you're creating a chart of accounts, you are going to create a primary customer and supplier account, which is 401 and 411. But now with the third-party accounts that you're going to have in your transactions, that is the supplier and customers, you need to have identified account numbers peculiar to these suppliers and customers. That is why you have the general account number as 401 for suppliers, but specifically for customer Kim, you're going to add another figure behind to identify that this is supplier Kim. All right, and you're going to see the importance of doing this when it comes to recording these actual transactions, where you have to identify these suppliers and customers. So next, you write down the VAT somewhere, and of course you put in the VAT code that you're going to use. A simple format is what I've shown you, which is VA1 for the first transaction. If it's purchase, VA1 as the code. The next transaction, if it's sales, you just follow VA2 and all of that. So you follow this format and you identify the necessary information that you need. So this is how you can just lay out your information so that when you're putting in the computer, you're not confused or you don't mix up your work.